in the Constructors means so much to those teams who are embroiled in it. 20 points separates 4 of them. Racing Bulls have made such an excellent account of themselves. How do they get into the mix of these high-scoring points positions this evening? What do they have to do? Get elbows out and look behind or look forward?
You know, this race is an odd one because it tempts you to be aggressive. But if you have one moment of oversteer, a snap in turn 6 or turn 8 in the race, in race trim, you can propagate graining and you can derail your entire race. If you've already got a good position like they do, I think it's going to be about clean execution, getting it right, getting the timing of the stop correct, and making sure that you only pick the battles that are worth going for. You know, you don't want to be wasting your tyres defending against an extremely fast Charles Leclerc if he's going to take you out anyway. You know, I think that's what they're going to do. Alan Permain is a very sensible engineer, so I'm sure that's what he's been telling them to do anyway.
What a wonderful segue. Let's hear from Alan Permain.
Qualifying for your team yesterday, both cars inside the top 8. Great job from Liam and from Isaac. Just sum it up for me.
Yeah, hectic session. Those ones are never easy, and a great job from everyone. Honestly, from the team, of course, from the drivers, but we gave them the car, and the tyre guys got everything right. We had the right pressures, we had the right tyres on when we needed them, and things like that. So yeah, a good session.
So when I get to talk to the drivers in the TV pen afterwards, spoke to Liam, and you know he was pleased. And I talked to Isaac. Inside the top 8 still, but it would feel like he just got knocked out of Q1.
Yeah, and Liam was a little bit frustrated as well because in the end of Q3, he just missed that crucial final lap and by a couple of seconds, and that's ever so difficult to do. And we always try and put them in a position where they, you know, they're doing their last lap with the track in the best conditions. I think it's just a reflection on our expectations, our aspirations that 6th and 8th is good, but they felt there was more potential there.
So let's look ahead to today then, and this is going to be a difficult question, I know, because we're heading into the unknown with so little long runs. But how are you feeling about the opportunity to get the most out of this very raceable car that you've had for a long time?
Yeah, I think it's the same for everyone, of course. No one's done a long run. We've got the same tyres we've had here for the last couple of years, very similar conditions, so we're building a strategy based on what we've seen from there, and we know what we're doing, we know what we're starting on, and we'll take it from there.
Well, I wish you all the best today, Alan. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Cheers.
very much. Cheers.
Great to hear from Alan as ever, and you're right, he's such a sensible, level-headed man with that approach to it, that engineering approach. We've made our way all the way down to the very back of the grid. One of the interesting things about this track is that the grid isn't dead straight like we so often see. It's actually curved around. Does that change anything in how teams approach this?
Yeah, it makes the start harder. It's also Monaco has got the same one. In fact, these drivers use a second set of lights that's just in front of us because it's actually slightly off. And strategy-wise, it does change. So if you're a fast car out of position, like Lewis Hamilton, for example, it gives you slightly more of an option on the start. The hard tyre is very slow off the start line. 7 minutes out of blankets between when you take the blankets off and when you actually do the start. So it's even worse than if you're doing a pit stop in terms of warm-up. Teams might decide to go for that, to give some data to their teammates, someone like an Albon or an Antonelli. But if I was Lewis Hamilton, I'd try the soft. Commit to the 2-stop, soft, hard, and get that helmet all the way up to the points position.
A bit of grip and get up there and fight through. I mean, let's touch on those cars out of position. It was a really unfortunate crash, a tiny moment for Alex Albon that saw him into the wall, and he said, look, eyes forward now, and we'll see what he can get from that. And as you say, may well be very useful to his teammate, Carlos Sainz, who's up there in P3. Again, for Kimi Antonelli, it was a front lock-up. He wasn't sure why it happened. The conditions were so tough, not least for the most experienced, but for the rookies. Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, brilliant, a master in the wet. And yet he's standing here P20, a career first to qualify last. He's never done it before when he's set a time. What's going wrong with this car on this side of the garage, do you think, Ruth?
Well, I think they said in the press, you know, it was some communication errors and also the brakes. Ferrari run a different kind of brake than some of the other teams that can potentially be a little bit more peaky. Glazing can happen in very cold conditions, and that is, you know, Lewis is the greatest braker in the world. You know, if Max is great at overtaking, he's phenomenal at it. So it's basically like taking your cape off of Superman the second that you've taken your brakes off of Lewis Hamilton. You know, he was the fastest driver on track here last year. He was faster than his teammate. You know, if the race was another 10 laps, he probably would have been chasing him down for the win. It's just annoying. It's just difficult. But right now, you've got to kind of put that, like, the rear wing that is modelled so lovely behind you of this car is phenomenal. They've done a great job with it, potentially top speed of the race.
Yeah, so we're looking eyes forward for Lewis Hamilton, seeing if he can get through. But interesting on that communication from the pit wall with Ferrari in not letting him know that he could have got an extra lap in. You feel a Bono and that kind of tight relationship may well have worked out a bit differently. Who knows? Lewis Hamilton will start P20, but these cars out of position will be fighting their way back on this brilliant track full of long straights and big braking zones. We've had a closer look with a few hot laps. Here's a teaser.
All right. How do you enjoy driving in this thing?
Probably the best part of my weekend.
Yeah, fair enough.
A bit faster in F1 car.
Yeah, no doubt. How easy is it to lock the inside front here?
Too easy.
Get this one wrong, overdo it,
Yeah, it is, yeah.
and then it just kills your run.
Yeah.
Some great racing through that corner. Man, that's so much fun, that section. Drifting all the way out to the exit.
Yeah. We hit 180 miles per hour.
I've got to get out of the way.
And you can watch the full version on F1 TV, of course. And now, from a car, from a sim, from trackside, he's been a busy man for us this weekend, and he's about to take you on a grid walk at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. James Hinchcliffe.
Been a busy guy, and it's a busy grid down here in Vegas, as it always is, but let's run you through it. First of all, you're going to notice Yuki Tsunoda's not here. They broke Parc Fermé, put a new power unit in that Red Bull after a disappointed qualifying session, so last on the grid will be Lewis Hamilton. First time he's qualified last on pure pace in his 370-plus race career. But look, we know he knows how to make moves here in Vegas. He did it last year, driving from 10th up to 2nd. Gabriel Bortoleto here on the grid, trying to rebound from a bit of a horror show at his home Grand Prix last time out in Brazil. Not enough pace to get out of Q1, looking to make some moves here in the race. Then you've got Kimi Antonelli. Kimi Antonelli was on a lap fast enough to get through to the second phase of qualifying after Sector 1, after Sector 2, but there was a mistake in Sector 3, and unfortunately, that puts him down here. But we know there's pace in that Mercedes. He's going to look for some of that Hamilton magic that he had last year. Here we have Alex Albon. In some of the most difficult conditions, this was the only driver to fall victim to the wall, crashing in turn 15, same place that Franco Colapinto had that issue in qualifying last year when he was teammates with Albon. Then we head to Colapinto for Alpine. Better qualifying effort than he had last year, not making any contact. Decent effort from the young Argentine, but ultimately still looking for his first point in the season. Not sure that Alpine's got the kind of pace he needs to make that happen. Then you've got Oliver Behrman. Ollie Behrman broke his streak of 4 consecutive Q3 appearances, but he's looking to keep the streak of 4 consecutive points finishes into 5 this race. He was lucky to even get out of Q1 after going long in turn 14 and tapping the barrier in a mildly comical way. Then you've got his teammate, Esteban Ocon. Esteban out qualifying Behrman for the first time in a few rounds, looking to add a few points to his tally. He thought he had pace for Q3, and unfortunately, he was not able to do it after some yellow flags. But, Ayo, I know Esteban was a little bit disappointed in qualifying because of some yellow flags. Do we think he's got pace to move up into the points?
Yeah, obviously qualifying was very different because it was wet conditions. I think our operation was good, but in terms of like cooling tires, etc., I don't think we've done the best job. So I think pace is a bit better. And then of course today, dry, but still very, very low grip, right? So anything can happen, so just need to be focused.
Absolutely, anything can happen in Vegas. Best of luck. Cheers. Then we head on to the first Aston Martin, Lance Stroll. He was super quick in Q1, super quick in Q2 early days, but then they were the first team to take the risk onto the intermediates, and that risk didn't pay off. Hey, that's what Vegas is all about. There's more pace in that Aston Martin than what Stroll was able to show because of that tire choice. Then we see here Nico Hülkenberg got into Q3 for the first time this season back in Brazil, just on the outside this time. But Sauber looking for points in that tight P6 battle. But the midfield's gotten so tight. Let's put this into perspective. There's 62 points at Sauber. They're 9th place right now. 3 years ago, they were 6th in the Constructors' Championship on just 55 points. That is how much that midfield has improved. You've got Pierre Gasly. He's a bit of a Vegas specialist. Front 2 rows, the last 2 times he's been here, up into the points. Potentially, today, he's going to be starting there in P10. Excited to see what he can do. He loves racing here in Vegas. There, of course, you got Charles Leclerc, not the pace that they were hoping for. Difficult to get that Ferrari to work in slippery conditions, and he admitted they're one of the few teams that put something more like a wet setup on that car. They added some downforce to try to help the cause. It didn't pay off, and that also means they're going to be a little bit slower on the straights in the race, going to make passing and defending a little bit difficult. Racing Bull's Isak Hadjar, great job to be up in Q3. 14th Q3 appearance for the rookie, the most of any driver not in the big four teams, helping that team out potentially in the points. Fernando Alonso, in a session where most drivers said it was the most difficult I've ever experienced. I'm not having any fun. He popped out of the car and said, I'm loving this. That was a lot of fun, way more fun than I expected. And you know, when you put a difficult condition in front of Fernando Alonso, he's one of those guys that can really deliver. So experienced, so good. Then, of course, you have Liam Lawson. Great result in qualifying for the Kiwi. This team, again, looking for points in that P6 battle. They're holding that spot right now, but it's only 10 points over Aston Martin, and you've got Fernando in the sandwich, the Racing Bull sandwich there. So important for him to try to bring home some points. Piastri, so devastated in Q3. Yellow flags took him out of contention for pole position. He was on a lap fast enough to maybe fight certainly for that front row, and conditions outside of his control held him back. George Russell, your defending race winner, pole last year. He knows how to get it done here in Vegas. He's going to be trying what he can from the less preferred side of the racetrack. Always tough to do as we try to fight through this crazy crowd here in Las Vegas. It's still pumping the music. The lights are flashing. Everybody who's anybody wants to be on the grid here in Las Vegas. Already run into a lot of people. And we just look up here, Carlos Sainz. What a result for Carlos. Huge cheers from the crowd. And last time he was on the front two rows in a straight circuit with long straights in his Williams, guess what? That ended up in a podium for him. That was back in Baku, looking to try to repeat that here today. And then we head to the front row. Max Verstappen on a run of 7 consecutive podium finishes, looking to keep that streak alive. And he really needs to win if he's going to keep this hope of 5 championships alive. The only guy he really has to beat today, unfortunately, is the one guy that out-qualified him. But we know that he can be aggressive. We know that he can make moves in turn 1. Let's see what he can do. And then, of course, your pole sitter is somewhere over here on the right side of the racetrack. That's Lando Norris. He's starting in his 150th Grand Prix for McLaren, tying the most races for that team with David Coulthard. He's on a hot streak right now. 2 consecutive wins from pole position, and he's trying to make it 3 in a row. If he can win again here today, that is going to put him with basically one hand on that driver's championship trophy. He is absolutely in the form of his life right now. But as always in Vegas, there's going to be an element of luck involved. 50 laps that these drivers have to sort it out. But before those lights go out and we get to watch a thrilling Grand Prix, we're going to head to the front of the grid for the singing of the American National Anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, the American National Anthem sung. Laurent Mekies is walking up to us here. Laurent, brilliant to see you. Thanks as ever for joining us at this pinnacle moment of the night, just moments before the start of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen from P2, 5th time he's been alongside Lando Norris this season. They're getting used to each other off the line. How's he taking this one, knowing Lando may have a little bit more to lose?
I don't know, it's difficult to say, but you know, one thing is sure is that we go into the race with so little data, so little preparations. Nobody has done a long run this weekend. Lando didn't do one, we didn't do one, so it's going to be a race where we need to stay flexible, we need to stay open and try to deal with the conditions.
Around the other side of the garage, you have Yuki Tsunoda. You had that issue in qualifying with the tire pressures, opted to make a power unit change. Is that just looking forward into the rest of the season, trying to end strong, or is it the fact that we've got such long straights here and he's got to make some positions up? Do we think that could be a big advantage?
I mean, in fairness, we took the opportunity to change the car setup as well, so that was the main focus, and we also took the opportunity to change the PU. Yeah, you know, we think we need to go quite drastic and to take some risk if we want to get some points out of these starting positions. So that's what we will do with Yuki today. So take quite a few risks to try to grab a few points.
Yeah, we'll see how Yuki goes from the pit lane, obviously. Max and GP behind, just having a very in-depth chat. We know their relationship is so tight. For Max Verstappen, I say he's got nothing to lose, but he will want to stay in this championship fight. Is it a win or nothing for him tonight? What's his approach in terms of that battle with 49 points deficit?
You know, we always said we take it race by race, and even to this date, it's like that. We want to try to win the race. That's where the focus is. Perhaps even more than looking at where Lando is or the other guys are. We are here to try to extract everything, try to win that race, and the rest will make the points count at the end.
Well, we'll see how you get on. We actually love that there's not much data to go on. I'm sure it's a bit of a nightmare for you guys, but the unknowns are incredible. Thank you so much, Laurent. Best of luck to you. Always appreciate chatting. Right, let's hear then from Lando Norris.
Lando, can I just get one question? It was so good to see that lap that you delivered in quali today. I know it's full focus on the race today. What's it going to take to win out there today?
Just being very proactive today. A lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks. I don't know how the hard tire is going to be, you know, so a lot of things we don't have the answer to at the minute, and we're going to have to work out along the way, so yeah.
Good luck today. Thanks, Lando.
Well, there you go, your top two. We've heard from, we'll let Helmut Marko come through to probably have a chat with his driver, Max Verstappen, who's looking pretty relaxed behind there. A few final words to GP. James, turn one, it's short. How do the drivers approach this one?
It's tough. You know, again, there's not a lot of data to go off of even historically here. Only two races here so far. So you've got to be a little bit cautious. No one's really run on the hard tire. No one's really run with full fuel. And for Lando Norris, if he does lead out of turn 1, 2, he's going to be the one that's doing all these experiments first. He's going to be exploring the grip, the brake zones. It's almost a little bit of a disadvantage when there's this many unknowns to be the first one arriving to every corner. If Max is running second, he can kind of judge off the car in front in case there is a loss of grip, or you can just brake a little bit later and hope it works out. So it's a big challenge for Lando right now if he's going to be the first one to hit all 17 of these corners.
Can we have a moment for the atmosphere right now? I've got you full blast in my ear. I'm still struggling to hear. It's absolutely ridiculous how hyped this grid is as George Russell just heads back towards P4.
And if I've got time, I just want to mention, because of what you're just talking about, how impressive these athletes are. This is the moments before they're going to go strap into a race car and go over 200 miles an hour around the city streets of Las Vegas. And you're dealing with this kind of excitement, this kind of energy. This is not what you see before the start of a football game, a baseball game, a basketball game. These drivers are having to know how to flip that switch in minutes, put on the helmet, and get into the zone. This is one of the hardest examples I've ever seen, so credit to all 20 of them.
That's so interesting because, yes, you see those big hype moments, but they're for sports in which getting that hyped is important, the likes of rugby, of football. For driving, for turn 1, you need that heart rate to be cool. This is not conducive to a low heart rate, let me tell you. All right, Lawrence Barretto is dotting about for us. He's caught up with Liam Lawson.
Liam, thanks for taking your ears out. Awesome quali yesterday. The atmosphere here is incredible. You've had a nice little lap round to the grid. How are you feeling about the race?
Okay, I mean, it's tough. You know, normally we go through a long run plan, we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to get, but today it's going to be very tricky because we didn't really do that many laps and the track resets every day, so it's going to be tough.
Does that change the approach to the race?
it just changes the preparation a bit. We try and cover more scenarios because obviously we don't really know fully what we're going to get, but the car's been fast all weekend, so honestly I think we've done everything we can, and we had a quick car in quali yesterday, obviously in the mixed conditions, so not that I think it's going to rain, but I think we should be okay.
Good luck today, thank you.
We think it should be okay. We think it might not be raining. We don't know. The forecast has been up and down all weekend and impossible to predict. But yeah, we are thinking that rain has gone, and it is that little bit warmer. I think I was hearing 17 air temperature about half an hour ago. It may have dipped slightly, but conditions probably the best we've seen them there for all weekend. But the lack of grip, the levels of unknowns, Ruth, that we have coming into this. Lando Norris just behind us here, about to step into the car. 24 points, his advantage in this World Championship, and he starts from pole position. The last 7 Grand Prix have all been won from pole. Can this one be won from pole as well?
It can, if you can absolutely nail the start with zero risk in case there's any kind of DNF. It's going to be all about that.
For you, Lando Norris, his mentality, his approach right now?
At the same time, though, you know, streaks end and records are meant to be broken, so it wouldn't surprise me if the pole sitter doesn't win at this race just because there are so many unknowns.
How much of an outlier is this circuit in terms of this championship story? Because it could be one in which we see something crazy happen once again and a real twist to the tail.
Absolutely huge. This time last year, we didn't have any rookies. The championship was, people had to play it safe. It's the exact opposite. We've got people that have never driven around here. We've got completely green track, and there are so many drivers out here with nothing to lose. I think it's going to be a spicy start. We're going to have a higher chance of safety cars, and it's going to be so important to get everything right to win it.
It's the best part about this point of the year is you're either in a position of you're trying to protect a position you were at in a championship, or you've got nothing to lose and you have to go for it. It's such a different mindset up and down the grid, and that leads to some really interesting racing decisions.
Right, well, you're Lando Norris, you're Max Verstappen, you're Oscar Piastri. What are you doing? Very quickly, guys.
I'm Max, I'm starting on medium, and I want to win the race or be off.
I think if I'm Lando, you have to really pay attention to Max. If he's really going to go for it, you got to give it to him. Your goal is beat Oscar. It's not about winning this race.
Okay, prediction time then, please.
Max, Lando, Piastri.
I actually like that. That's pretty good.
Max, Lando, Piastri, that could well be your podium here on the streets of Las Vegas. The best part of it is we don't know. We have such limited data. We have so many unknowns. The walls are close. There is so much jeopardy. And this is Las Vegas. This is the Strip. This is one of the most ridiculous night races we see all calendar. Enjoy this one. It's the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
The stage is set. This is Las Vegas. And F1 doesn't just visit, it takes over. Slicing through the famous glowing strip. Might only be the 3rd edition, but it's already rich with high-stakes racing history. The site of Verstappen's 2024 triumph. 4-time world champion!
Oh my God, for the season.
But this year, likely to be the place where the bet is off. Lando Norris hopes to stack the odds even more in his favour. But with 2 aces in the McLaren garage, is Oscar Piastri going all in to chase his losses? Your hand has been dealt. Now it's time to play the table. This is the 2025 Las Vegas Grand Prix. from Las Vegas. This is Formula One. Between the bright lights and the landmarks, a battle rages for the title. And 3 drivers still dream of claiming the World Championship in 2025. For Verstappen, Piastri and Norris, the next test is spectacular. It's a sporting stage which has seen so many famous nights. And if Norris beats Verstappen by 9 points, he knocks the heavyweight out of the contest. Welcome to round 22, held on a cool night in Sin City. It is a circuit that runs the 3.8 miles between the landmarks around the sphere, and with an awesome run to the best overtaking opportunity on the racetrack, which is turn 14. We go Formula One racing on the streets of Las Vegas in under 5 minutes' time. Wet tyres yesterday, intermediate tyres yesterday, slick tyres today, the C5, the C4 and the C3 Pirelli rubber available for those in the fields. Hello everyone, tonight the strip belongs to us and the greatest drivers in the world. It is a high-speed test, it is an awesome sight, the temperatures are low and the chance for an upset is high. Let's go from the back to the front for round 22 of the Formula One World Championship. Yuki Tsunoda is in the pit lane, Lewis Hamilton qualifying at the back. Really tough session for him. Gabriel Bortoleto in 18th place, Kimi Antonelli second in the last Grand Prix, P17 on the grid. Alex Albon is in 16th place, he hit the wall. Franco Colapinto hit that same wall 1 year ago. Oliver Behrman is behind teammate Esteban Ocon for the first time in 7 Grand Prix starts. It's Lance Stroll in P12, he is next to Nico Hülkenberg, who is 11th for Sauber. To the top 10, which features Pierre Gasly for the second race in a row. Charles Leclerc delighted it's dry, not wet. The Ferrari just had no grip in the moist conditions. Isaac Hadjar was disappointed with P8. He was caught up with Leclerc's yellow flag. Fernando Alonso is in 7th. Liam Lawson, P6, and expecting to have to react to conditions tonight. Oscar Piastri also caught up in that yellow flag for Charles Leclerc. George Russell won the race a year ago. Carlos Sainz has always been in the top 3 of the 3 Las Vegas Grand Prix qualifying sessions that we've had. The front row is epic. Max Verstappen 8 meters behind. Lando Norris in the battle for the World Championship and turn 1, 120 meters from Max Verstappen to the braking zone of turn 1 with 1 car in his way. He is 49 points ahead of him in the World Championship. Oscar Piastri is behind championship leader Lando Norris by 24, 3 still in contention to win it. George Russell expected to be in the battle for the podium and the win. It is so well set up for the 50-lap Las Vegas Grand Prix, our 22nd round of the year. In the commentary box, I'm Alex Jakes, alongside me, Jolyon Palmer, but first, a 13-time Grand Prix winner, David Coulthard. DC, it's been a great event, and now it's time for the headline act.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to it very much. We've had a bit of everything, haven't we? The rain, we've had unpredictable build-up in terms of no long runs, really, to give them meaningful knowledge ahead of this Grand Prix. But thankfully, it's a little bit warmer and perfectly dry conditions. And I think there's a number of cars that could be in the window to win this race. So, first of all, they're going to navigate their way around that first corner with a very motivated Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, who doesn't need to win the race, but he does need to finish in front of his teammate.
And that's what everyone knows. Max Verstappen starting second. He has sent in a lunge there for the race lead on the first iteration of this newer spec Las Vegas Grand Prix 2 years ago on Charles Leclerc. He sent it and took the lead, got punished for it. But Lando will know that he cannot afford to take the risk of Max coming down the inside, the two touching, and a potential DNF that will bring Oscar right back into play today. So that's in play, but it's a very short run to the first corner. It's one of the shortest on the calendar, 150 meters from there to there, where you hit the brakes already. So it's got to be reaction time and just that first bit of drive.
Formation lap is underway, and the top 10 drivers find themselves on the yellow-walled medium tyre. Huge cheer from the crowd in the grandstand as they leave the line. There's the confirmation of the starting tyres for the top 10. No divergence on strategy at all. Hülkenberg going for the harder rubber, then 3 mediums, and then a complete smorgasbord for everyone at the back, trying something different after a tricky qualifying session, including for Lewis Hamilton, who was the first Ferrari driver to qualify last for a Grand Prix since 2009. It doesn't happen very often. It tells the story of a season that has not gone to plan for the 7-time world champion. He has not featured on the podium once.
I think he's got a real chance, though, to shine tonight. Interestingly, he's so far back in the grid with the nature of how it's positioned. He's actually on a slight angle, sort of reminiscent of Spa and a few other circuits where the grid doesn't line up completely straight. But I think the underlying pace of that Ferrari in dry running and free practice is sufficiently good that he can bring his way through the field and get some points this evening.
If either Ferrari was starting in the top 5, I'd say they were in contention for the win, given the dry pace that we saw. It's just their lousy wet form that has meant that Leclerc in 9th and Hamilton in 19th have got a lot of work to do. But we saw only 2 weeks ago what you can do from the pit lane. In Max Verstappen's case, you can overtake on this circuit. That is a huge run down the strip, nearly 2 kilometres, 1.9 kilometres before a big old long braking zone to pull off some overtakes with the help of DRS. So that'll be Hamilton's friend this evening.
Well, as we go past the fantastic fountains of the Bellagio and all that water, I wonder what it is with that Ferrari and H2O that just doesn't seem compatible.
It's not worked for them at all. Doesn't matter the type of circuit we get, whether it's a traditional European venue or a temporary circuit like this one, it just has not worked out for Ferrari with the low grip of wet conditions. Carlos Sainz in the top 3 once again. He was on the front row in Baku, a similarly quick, fast street circuit like we have tonight. At the head of the field, about to start his 150th Grand Prix, Lando Norris, the World Championship leader. DC, you started 150 races for McLaren. He's tying your record tonight.
And he's doing it in 7 seasons. It took me 9. And that is the popularity of this sport, that they get a lot more Grand Prix fun in a season. And, well, it's been quite a season for him. He's been through the emotional roller coaster, and it looks like he's using all of the experience that he has now to take this one towards a championship. But first of all, he's going to navigate his way around the first corner. And as Julian said, we've got a Max Verstappen motivated and more than capable of having a lunge.
It's been a much steadier formation lap for Lando. Pole in Brazil, and he charged round to get a bit of learning in the dry conditions there, but this time he's backed the field up pretty well. Burnouts at the end. Remember, cooler temperatures, it's just dipped below 17 degrees air temperature, so getting these tyres fired up on the first lap will be critical. Do a load of burnouts, get that surface temperature on the rear, because that's what you'll need when the lights go out.
At the head of the field, a reminder for you, the Williams car is in a black livery for Carlos Sainz, not the traditional blue. That's a Vegas special for the car in P3. Russell is in 4th, 2nd in the points, but 5th on the grid for Oscar Piastri. Championship leader and 3rd in the points are on the front row. 1 car in the pit lane, that's Yuki Tsunoda, 19 on the grid. Here come the lights in Vegas. And we're underway and racing down to turn number 1. Lando Norris is going to need the job, but it's super aggressive from the pole sitter. Who's off? Who's wide? The lead for Max Verstappen as Lando Norris rejoins. He went bold, but Verstappen got by, and now moving up around the outside and trying to take P2 away. George Russell climbing up to 2nd position. Crucial couple of meters for the Grand Prix for Lando Norris, who wants P2. It's dirty, dusty, and he can't go late on the brakes. It's Max Verstappen. George Russell, the pole sitter, is down to 3rd. Lando Norris has lost places. Oscar Piastri, P7 right now. He's lost a couple as well.
Well, he went brave, he went hard, he tried to play Max at his own game. The only thing is, he doesn't know the rules of that game, and it didn't work out for him. So he's paid the price, he's dropped back, and we've got a very tentative Oscar Piastri as well. And I think it's a tales of what we set up, Julian. We set up the fact that he'd have to go aggressive, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, we knew it. He knew it as well. Straight chopping so aggressively to the inside, but I think he caught himself out with that. It's 150 metres from pole to the braking zone, and if you're going to do such a big lateral move to the inside, looking in your mirrors as well to make sure you've got the space, you've then got to stop it for the first corner, and I think he was just so busy trying to cut the inside off that he braked basically too late. Piastri, though, behind both racing bulls. Hadjar's had a flyer, up 3.
Hadjar up to P5. There's a move for Charles Leclerc. That's for 9th position. Late on the brakes into turn 14 as we go over the line. Verstappen, Russell, Norris is the top 3 in the Grand Prix.
So Behrman's had an absolute storming start as well, 13th up to 8th position. And look at Lewis Hamilton.
No, we don't want to see that. The yellow flags are waving, the marshals are recovering, but there was an option for a virtual safety car there that race control did not take. There is debris off the racing line, but not far off the racing line. Verstappen, Russell, Norris, Sainz. Hadjar up 3, then it's Lawson, Piastri, Behrman, Leclerc and Alonso down 3.
That seemed to me like a massive miscommunication from race direction to the marshals, because as you mentioned there, Alex, there was nothing other than the flags and a number of people still on track. But anyway, meanwhile, back in this Grand Prix, then Russell will be doing everything he can to stay within a DRS zone of Verstappen.
Oh, damage for Lawson. And Piastri gets by. Lawson with front damage to the car, and Piastri is up to P6.
So Gasly's also tumbled from the top 10 to the back of the field. I wonder if he is the reason there's a bit of debris on.
And this is unsighted corners, high speed at this part of the circuit, not a wide racetrack, and Lawson fades from the points with damage to the front wing.
Costly for Racing Bulls, who had a great start with both cars. Hadjar's flown up to 5th, but that is still championship ramifications going on for 6th there.
Virtual safety car is out, race is neutralised, everyone will restrict their pace to 30% of full racing speed, and on lap 2 of 50, huge significance across the field, a jumbled up order. Lewis Hamilton is up 7 positions on the hard tyre. Kimi Antonelli's up 4, Lawson has lost 10 places, and you can see the car sparking as he tumbles to the back. Crucially, out front, Max Verstappen taking the lead at the first turn, and George Russell taking 2nd place by turn 5 on lap 1. Let's see it again, DC.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lawson will get less of a loss when he comes in to change that nose because of the virtual safety car. But look at Lando, super aggressive, but in doing that, he just then lost the lead down at turn 1. The contact in the first corner between a couple of the cars that we didn't quite pick up on the first race start. I'd love to be able to see that again. And then Lando had to go and try to be super aggressive with George Russell on the run down the back straight, but in the end had to back out of it.
It's Lawson into Piastri at turn 1. It's Piastri that's taken the brunt of the Racing Bulls hit. This is a look back from Norris, who just missed his break point. So busy was he to get to the inside, and Verstappen comes through. Sensational move this from Russell as well round the outside. The winner from last year is straight up into 2nd place. We sort of overlooked that a little bit, but yeah, it's Piastri that took a hit from Liam Lawson, who just locked up on the inside. What's Bortoletto going to see as he heads down?
Oh my word, clobbers into the side of the Aston Martin, and round went Pierre Gasly. That's how he lost 7 places.
Well, there's no question who was the cause of that accident. Bortoletto completely misjudged his braking, now on board with Liam Lawson. And then the McLaren, and wow, how lucky was Piastri that was a wheel-to-wheel contact.
Well, I mean, that could have been championship over for Piastri at that point. This is just rookie territory, isn't it, really? You've got Lawson, pretty much a rookie this year, still so inexperienced. You've got Bortoletto charging in, and such limited grip on the inside line there. And that's Lance Stroll without a rear wing, so he's out. Is out of the race. So much chaos going on. That's how Hamilton charged up 7 places. We were busy looking at Norris and Russell and Verstappen, but throughout the whole field, there was a lot of drama, and Piastri, I think he will have got away with that without damage because it was wheel to wheel, and the cars are built so strongly these days, but he's incredibly lucky there.
That was nearly championship over, David, wasn't it? If that had been the side of the car, loss of downforce points, that was nearly it for Oscar Piastri.
100%, but you have to actually question, I know it's easy to be clever from the comm box, but you have to question why he would put himself on such a wide line when we know that corner invites people doing a lunge down the inside. Also, we didn't reference the fact that Albon did a nose to gearbox as he ran into that corner as well, so there might be some damage to the front of the Williams. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, he may be even out of position on the grid, but he's got a fairy godmother looking over him after that incident on the way into the first corner.
Green flag is flying. We're racing once again in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Piastri, of course, started on the outside line. It's so difficult. I mean, Norris had the luxury of being at the front, and if he had the gap to Verstappen, he could chop across, and that was pretty marginal as well. But there's not really much opportunity for those who started on the outside to charge right to the inside and take the sort of safer spot, albeit the safer but less grippy spot, because all of those guys hurtled into the corner and caused the chaos for those on the outside.
Yeah, Leclerc getting himself into position with Behrman. I expect he'll be able to make short work of getting past the Haas, and then that's bringing Leclerc nicely into this Grand Prix, not that far behind Piastri.
Verstappen, Russell, Norris, Sainz, Hadjar, Piastri, Behrman and Leclerc. Leclerc looking like he's got a very slippery scarlet Ferrari, not looking for the move at the moment. What about his teammate? Further back on the strip. Getting close as well. Getting deep into the corner. A little bit of a loss of downforce, a little bit of time lost for Hamilton as he tries to undo the damage of yesterday's qualifying.
Really in two minds there between an overtake and stay on the line and try and get him on the exit, and in the end almost hit the back of Esteban Ocon. He's got Alex Albon right with him now as well, so not the most incisive bit of driving from Hamilton. Leclerc looks like he's on a bit of a mission here.
He does indeed. It is lap 5 of 50. Watch the gap between the race leader, Max Verstappen, and George Russell. It's hovering at a second right now. The drivers, the teams, the strategists will all be learning what the performance of the car on these tyres is. They will be assessing what the strategy has to be today, implications for later in the race. Yuki Tsunoda has the fastest lap, and left-hand side of your screen, you're tracking the progress of Alex Albon. Cars ahead, Hamilton and Ocon.
So DRS around this circuit is worth just under 0.7 of a second per lap. And you don't take such big losses. There's not the high-speed corners where you're losing the downforce. You're, of course, losing downforce running behind other cars, but compared to the sort of fast Austins, the Sao Paulos with that middle sector, there's not such a damage here with the low-speed corners. So it's going to be powerful, the DRS.
What's also interesting is just looking at tyres. Antonelli took advantage of that to make a stop. He's got the hard tyres on as far as I can see. And he did a 38.5 versus a 41.6 for our race leader Verstappen. So he's not pacing himself on those hard tyres.
Late braking move for Charles Leclerc, and he gets past the Haas. The Ferrari easing by and up to P7. Crucial move for his Grand Prix. Next car up the road, one of the championship contenders, Oscar Piastri.
Leclerc's not mucking around today. Another good pass there. I quite like the late braking down the inside. Keep your cards close to your chest. No defence from Behrman, thinking it's all safe, and then there we go down the inside, nice and clean and late on the brakes. Russell's close, isn't he? DRS for him down towards turn 5 as well.
Yeah, this is bad news for Verstappen, and this allows, with that DRS, it allows George to take advantage of the overspeed. And well, we see a lunge from him, but Verstappen, he may as well have on the underside of his rear wing approach with caution, because you've got to be committed if you're going for the pass.
But he'll have to play it slightly safer with Russell than he would with Norris, because Russell will be after the win a lot more than Norris will be, to be frank, around here. Norris can be cautious. Second place is still a great result for him, but Russell is in it to win it, and you can tell that by the way he's lining up behind Max. Both McLarens seem to be struggling for pace. Norris is dropping away. Piastri's putting no pressure on Hadjar or Sainz ahead. They're both just easing into this one or struggling for pace.
The two winners of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, 1 and 2, separated by 0.6 of a second. Max Verstappen feeling the need to check the mirror. You can hear the Mercedes V6 turbocharged engine closing in behind. It was Verstappen in 2023. It was George Russell in 2024. A form guide for you. McLaren have never placed a driver on the podium around this circuit.
Yeah, the benefit of that DRS was more noticeable on the run down to 14 than it has been in the run down to the first corner. But, well, George will be losing a little bit of clean air across his car. Not sure in these cooler conditions we can say it's going to overheat his tyres, but it's certainly going to mean it's a bit more of a handful. So he'll only have a few laps of trying to make this DRS manifest itself into an overtake before I think he'd need to drop back and just try and run a little bit of clean air.
Looks like he's got a lot of grip underneath him at the moment, though. The way he was able to stop the car for turn 14 at the end of the strip, managed to take a neat apex, straighten off the exit, kept him close for turn 1, where he did a similar sort of thing, attacked the entry, waited through the mid-corner, and again straightened off the exit. He can get on the gas that bit sooner and put the pressure on Verstappen, who's responded with a pretty tidy middle sector here to try and keep Russell out, away from arm's length. It's going to be close again. The DRS is coming up here.
Yeah, he's right in a zone, isn't he? And he looks to be a little bit closer than possibly the lap before. So you're absolutely spot on about his braking the last time around. Super committed right onto the gearbox of Verstappen as they approach turn 14 on the previous lap, but a bit further back this time.
And no chance to make the move, so you could see he gained about 0.3 of a second down the strip. 0.9 kilometers of flat-out racing past the landmarks of Las Vegas. Let's look at the Drivers' Championship as it stands. Still a contender for the title. Max Verstappen on for 25 points, but he's under serious, unrelenting pressure here. Lap after lap after lap for George Russell, and he finds himself in a battle out front. A reminder for you, last year Russell was able to comfortably win this Grand Prix in the early stages. The Ferrari was putting big pressure on him. Great racing early on. Remember, they'll still be understanding what these medium tyres can do, how far they can go into the Grand Prix. And Verstappen able to keep Russell on the end of the jab at the moment. The stewards say no further action between Piastri and Lawson. That wheel banging moment at turn 1 on lap 1.
Feels to me they should be looking at Bortoletto actually as the catalyst, I believe, of all of that contact, although maybe Lawson was just single-handedly running towards the side of Piastri's car.
I think they were sort of separate incidents of very similar making, weren't they? Bortoletto and Lawson. I guess the steward's seeing that Piastri's continued and Lawson hasn't, and turn 1, low grip, mitigating circumstances for Lawson, what looked to be obviously his fault. Verstappen has broken clear of the DRS, and he's done it with the fastest lap on the last lap. So Russell, you're exactly right, DC. A couple of good laps, put the pressure on, but Max has responded using everything from his mediums just to try and bridge that gap, which comes down to less than a second with a big slipstream and no DRS into 14. He'll get that again on the exit of this one, and it's another long old run flat out through 17 to start another lap. So it's cat and mouse out front, but Max right now seems to have enough in him.
It is indeed. What are we feeling as we approach what, if they were doing 2 stops, it could be coming in the coming laps. I believe George Russell was at lap 12 last year when he made his first stop. Are we feeling instinctively that they'll take it a bit longer into this race, putting in doubt whether it's going to be a 1 or 2 stop this afternoon?
That is the question for the drivers to answer. Remember, they've got 9 laps of data, but we've had a couple of tours under the virtual safety car. The investigation after the race for Bortoletto and Stroll. Bortoletto into the back of the Aston Martin driver. Both are out after that contact. To give you a reference, DC, if you're going for the 1 stopper, it's anywhere between lap 20 and 26. The 2 stopper, that opens around lap 12 to 13. So anyone who's not loving the rubber that they're on and wants to go aggressive tonight, and everyone wants to go for a 1 stopper to minimise the loss in the pits, you lose 20 seconds around this circuit.
So, Jolien, what do you think with Antonelli having, as far as I can see, done the stop under virtual onto the hard? Surely way too long to be able to do 1 stop on the hard from the virtual safety car.
He'll never get to the end on that, I don't think. But what he will be able to do at least is get some information back to George Russell out front. So Mercedes taking him off the soft, put him on the hard. He's now used 2 so if the hard looks good, then he can stick with that in another stop. But he can feed back to Russell as well, and so it's useful for Mercedes to use him in that vein. Tsunoda's gone medium to hard as well for Red Bull though, so they're both with teammates out of position, the top 2, and a lot of tyre info.
Kimi Antonelli, false start, moving before the signal has been noted. Alex Albon is all over the back of Lewis Hamilton. This is the battle for 12th position. Both of these drivers, after a dry practice day, would have been expecting this to be easily inside the top 10 and for serious points paying positions. They've both got pace, but both had really tricky qualifying performances. Albon hit the wall, Hamilton was last.
Yeah, Hamilton on the hard tyre, the same as Albon, who looks quicker than him at the moment. Remember, Carlos Sainz is still 4th, so the Williams is tidy around here. Leclerc, Hamilton's teammate up in 7th, is getting close to the DRS range of Piastri as well. So Oscar's got to get on with it if he's got more pace in the car, because he's going to need to get close to Hadjar to defend from Leclerc very shortly.
Well, last time around, Oscar Piastri, second in the points battle, did a 1:37.5. Charles Leclerc did a 1:36.5.
Matching the race leaders, Leclerc on the last lap. So showing the Ferrari has some pace in it. There's obviously a lot of time management going on at the start of these stints. They can wind it up when they want to, the drivers in clear air, all trying to protect the tyre from graining at the start of the stints, where you slide around and ball up that rubber and it becomes a horrible, massive load of understeer, particularly on the front axle.
Battle for P4. Hadjar has got the closest he's been to Sainz in the course of the race. He's been within DRS for the entirety of after the restart. Antonelli getting close to Colapinto, and under braking, Antonelli able to get by the left-hand side of your screen. That was turn 14.
But it's bad news for Piastri that Hadjar's so close to Sainz, because he'll get a slipstream to defend. He'll probably get DRS to defend at this rate as well. So they are going to form a DRS train. Sainz, Hadjar, probably Piastri soon, and Leclerc is within DRS range now of the Australian as well. So they're going to be 4 of them, all without the key advantage of opening your DRS. Only Hadjar will have that, but Sainz is driving a Williams that's pretty good in a straight line. So Piastri will be trying to pass someone who's got the DRS as well.
Just keeping an eye on Norris, and for the McLaren fans, it was feeling a little bit like he was struggling to keep pace with Verstappen and Russell in front.
It's always a team radio highlight from Ferrari at some point of a Grand Prix. And Leclerc, after not being able to get any grip yesterday, pushing like an animal around this circuit, and he's P7. He's getting very close to within DRS range of Oscar Piastri in the battle for P6.
I would like him to be a bit more specific, because there's a lot of animals, isn't there, in the animal kingdom, and some of them I wouldn't mind giving me a push. So he's just, DRS is available to him, but it doesn't seem to be allowing him to really with Piastri. Let's just see now, as you say, Piastri getting the benefit of the tow from Hadjar, who's getting the benefit of the tow from Sainz.
Yeah, is it a tiger or a kitten? I think it's the tiger at the moment for Leclerc.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Wide moment for Oscar, wide moment for Isaac Hadjar, under pressure now from Oscar Piastri. You can see Australian driver has gained through the first 2 turns.
Let's make sure to be aggressive, guys, okay?
Copy loud and clear. We are monitoring a group of 6 slow cars, so we have to be careful not to pit into them.
2-stop. That's what Isaac Hadjar is saying. I want to undercut the car ahead. Carlos Sainz very much in his race here today. Piastri now has decided that this is the time to pile on the pressure. Hadjar's dropped away, and Piastri could have a golden opportunity in a couple of corners' time. Hadjar was the undercut, but first of all, he's got to check the mirrors.
Who'll love that kind of mentality is Dr. Helmut Marko, as they look at whether Hadjar is someone they in your team. They'll love that kind of fighting spirit as Piastri runs wide, just force. And well, here we go for a Ferrari with a pass.
It's turning into pass or be pass for Oscar Piastri. Was trying to line up the move on Isaac Hadjar. Instead, opens the door for Charles. Ferrari is rapid as we build up to 212 miles per hour. Can Leclerc roar by and get past Piastri? He can. And Piastri's difficult Saturday night goes from bad to worse.
Oh, it's not his finest there, is it? He didn't need to do anything special in that corner to get the run on Hadjar ahead. But lock up, and now Leclerc is going to fancy a piece of Hadjar instead. And he had a massive slide in the corner as well when he got there. It's a crucial place lost for Oscar.
Yeah, and then the defence on the inside meant he picked up dirt on his tyres as well. So he's dropped back from the back of Leclerc, who's got the benefit of the slipstream and the DRS from Hadjar. Surely Hadjar's going to be his next victim.
You know what it reminds me of? When Norris was struggling a little bit in Baku, Leclerc was out of the race, and Norris just needlessly was passed by Leclerc on that safety car restart, and then basically spent the entire race trying to fight with him again. It's one thing for Piastri trying to clear Hadjar and then Sainz, but you've got a Ferrari now in front, and that is a different different kettle of fish, and that was his own mistake there, just locking that front left. It's easy to do through turn 11. They're coming up there once again. You're arriving with a bit of lateral load, sweeping through the left. He might even fancy a pass into turn 12 here. Surely just wait, don't do anything special on the brakes here, get the exit, and that's what Charles Leclerc will do.
You got such a long run here as you see him build up the speed, and it's going to go up and up and up north of 200 miles per hour. We're on the strip, and we're visor cam with the Ferrari driver who's having a really good day. Horrible day, was berating the car's lack of grip, but he's got grip, he's got speed, and has he got a chance for another position? Late on the brakes, easing to the inside and taking P5. 2 passes in 2 laps for Charles Leclerc, who's up to 5th position and hoping for a podium around this circuit. He's a contender once again around this racetrack.
And this is crucial for Piastri. He's been brought into it by the fact that Leclerc passed Hadjar. He's got to take advantage of it and get past. Piastri's got to get past Hadjar if he can. And I'd love to see the offboard of that, because I don't know about you, Julian, but that looked pretty late from Leclerc on the point at which he actually effected the pass.
He's got form though, hasn't he? He is exceptional on the brakes.
Steering, same again. Copy.
Right, that is not good news. He explained to me earlier in the paddock, and I think you see the damage on the front wing plate there. You can see of the Williams there. It's missing its end plate. That's obviously from the early lap contacts. But George explained to me that what happened in this, wow, Hamilton very deep there, and that's, well, the contact was made, so that's why Albon's gone into the pits.
Contact between Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton trying to pass Ocon, going wide into turn 12. Albon trying to fire it down the inside of turn 14, and contact between the Williams and
explaining what George Russell experienced in qualifying. You see debris on the track. This could be a virtual safety car. And he said that when he was in, the steering would slightly lock up, the power steering would freeze. And I'm sure, Julian, you've experienced this during your career as well. And it just meant that instead of being able to sort of, react quickly with a light steering wheel, it was like it was freezing in his hand and locking in position momentarily. So they changed the system ahead of the Grand Prix, and they've got exactly the same problem.
I mean, it must be on a sort of microscopic level, but the driver's sensitivities and feel is so much that when you are making the small corrections with watch Piastri, you need perfect feel through the wheel to apply opposite lock, to apply turn-in, to get everything absolutely sweet. And as soon as that happens, you're inaccurate with your steering inputs, and basically you become slower. It's harder to catch your very small mistakes. They become bigger mistakes. You then can drive cautiously as a result as well. So if that is the case, then that is bad news. Was all the hallmarks of bad news for Russell.
Yeah, yes indeed. And I like that expression you just came out with there. Feel through the wheel. It could be your little strapline.
We'll get some merch made with that for Palmer for the end of the year. It's that 15 of 50. Max Verstappen took the lead at the start of the race. George Russell moved up at turn 5. Lando Norris remains in 3rd place. Charles Leclerc is charging through the field. The driver who started in 9th position has made plenty of places. Talking of making places, here's another opportunity, this time for Oscar Piastri, who has the DRS. You can see the debris off the racing line, and Piastri waiting for a chance, but not feeling confident enough to send one to the inside.
He's not massively quick with the DRS there. I thought he'd be closer into the braking zone. There is a massive piece of debris. I'm surprised that we're racing on with that. And it's off the racing line, but if you want to make a move, you've got to risk crunching your car over a bit of Albon's front wing.
To turn 1 we go with Oscar Piastri chasing down Isaac Hadjar. You can see why Hadjar wanted the aggressive strategy, because towards the end of the now we have the virtual safety car to neutralize the race and to allow the marshals to recover that piece of debris from the racetrack.
Pretty quick. Someone is deployed to pick up that. If it's, well, there's a few little pieces of debris actually, so maybe it'll take a little bit longer.
They've got a window now. There's no one on the strip. Alex Albon, who was pitted to try and repair that damage, and the marshal being given the go-ahead by race control.
He's on an Easter egg hunt, isn't he? Trying to find every bit of carbon fibre. Is there one more? No, get off the track. There's still little bits though, aren't there?
Yeah, it doesn't look like that virtual safety car fell in a window that enabled anyone to react and take a pit stop. As far as I can see, everyone has stayed out.
Can't be long until they withdraw it.
Well, if it stays out for another corner here, there will be choices to be made out front. I'd be surprised if people don't take the opportunity. So Antonelli's got a 5-second penalty for a false start. He's creeping.
The wheels moving before the lights went out. A 5-second penalty. He's effectively in test mode, gathering data for the team. Green flag is flying once again in Las Vegas. We're racing. Chance for Oscar Piastri, top of your picture. Papaya car moving by, reacting well, and is this the chance to get past? It is, and now he'll hug the inside line, maybe run over some of that debris that wasn't quite cleared, but Piastri needed to get past and did so. P6 for the Australian driver.
Yeah, very smart work. Was obviously really close to the back of Hadjar anyway. It's a tough one when you're defending and you've got someone on your gearbox and there's a VSC. You've got to be so close to that delta and have momentum when it ends, and in some ways it's easier to be the attacker in that case as well. Just look forward and you can just try and get the run. Piastri had that at an opportune moment. Through he goes. Problem is, he's got Charles Leclerc now ahead from where he was before. So Leclerc's second and a half up the road, not scampering away, was fighting like an animal. Going to be an easy car to pass next for
Fernando Alonso, 21 seconds in the pit lane. Driver who started in 7th position of the Grand Prix and hoping to find his way back to the points. Here's the championship leader, Norris. And we have 2 Grand Prix and 1 sprint race to go at the end of the race. There's Max Verstappen in the lead by 2.2 seconds. Then it's George Russell and Norris getting that gap down to the man who's been complaining about the steering wheel in 2nd place.
McLaren last year really struggled with graining, and I wonder if that was the message to the drivers this year. Just be really cautious in the early laps. You've got most rubber on the tyres, it can move around, you can... that's when graining is most likely to happen. So both McLarens set out very cautiously. Russell comes into the pit, so that'll be a bit of a reprieve for Norris, who can go and chase Verstappen.
And left-hand side of your picture, Hulkenberg getting past Ben for 8th position. 2nd place man when he left the track, George Russell. On the Mercedes going to work.
It's almost like that was so close to that virtual safety car that you could almost argue that it was worth taking the risk pitting during safety car, because he would have come out pretty much in the same place, if not slightly ahead of the cars he's now finding himself set around.
I don't think that they didn't have the chance. I don't think the VSC came as they'd gone past the pit lane entry, and it ended just as they were coming back round. So I think if they had the chance, they would have taken it. And that would save you 6.5 seconds, so you're absolutely right. It would have been a no-brainer. But as it is now, what do Red Bull and Verstappen do? Do they have to cover off Russell?
Okay, this is let's try and pick up the pace.
Yeah, no, I have. Clean air is just miles better, so...
Yeah, look, I think it confirms, Julian, what you were surmising, that this has been a management job in those early laps by Lando Norris. Make the decision on what Verstappen and McLaren will do. Will Norris be able to eke into that gap, and does that tell us that at this stage they've got an underlying pace advantage? And if the answer is yes, then, well, that will help Red Bull make the decision, because basically you've got to try and keep track position. You don't want to give that up if you've got someone with a faster car. If they've got them behind you, then you've got a chance of throwing that dirty air and taking away their downforce.
It's 3 for the win today. Fastest lap after fastest lap for Lando Norris. The gap coming down. Meanwhile, you've got George Russell having taken his pit stop, trying to put in the sector times as well. Out on the hard tyres, personal best in the final sector. They'll take a bit of warming up, those hard tyres, in the chilly temperatures here. But Russell then is going to be in that mix, and Verstappen will have to think about covering him off soon.
Just an update on the lower reaches of the points. Fernando Alonso went early to the fresh rubber and he jumped past Oliver Behrman. That was a change for track position in the battle for what was P8 when Alonso at 19 and 50. We've got a wide open race. Carlos Sainz also having a great run once again, still ahead of his old teammate Charles Leclerc.
Okay, Kimmy, so we have a 5-second penalty for jump start.
What? How?
We don't understand, but we're investigating.
So Kimi Antonelli not thrilled with the news. No driver is when they're told they've got a 5-second penalty. Seemed clear from the replay there.
Yeah, the team engineers, Pete Bonington there, will be looking at the squiggly lines of data, which probably wouldn't have even triggered that the car was moving 0.3 kilometers per hour or something, but it was. All you have to do is look at the onboard camera. It seems a bit pedantic that it was given, but you've got to be completely stationary, and Antonelli wasn't, so confusion for him, but them's the rules.
Well, Hamilton, meanwhile, will be enjoying this, seeing his progress through the field. He's just about to have a dive on Ocon into turn one, maybe a little bit too far back, but surely in this coming lap he'll be able to move himself up to 9th.
Yeah, that's a tricky corner to make a move at one. It looks like it's going to be inviting every lap, but the braking zone is short. It's a quick approach in there, and we've seen already on the first lap how it's quite slippery offline, and it's easy to end in tears if you were to have a send there. So Hamilton waiting through another DRS zone, and then the chance is going to come up in a few more corners time, up in towards turn 14. Ocon starting to slide around. Medium tyres for him, the hards for Hamilton starting to work nicely.
Yeah, just on those hards, when you were asking the question about how it will be in terms of warm-up, when we look back to when Antonelli took the hard tyre, he was actually quick straight away. So whether that's just the Mercedes to switch them on, or whether that's where we are on track, giving as much of an issue as maybe we thought. But meanwhile, back at the front, Norris isn't making headway onto the start as quickly to suggest he's got a big pace advantage.
George Russell moving past Isaac Hadjar. He is up to P6. Russell has made his first stop in the Grand Prix. Hamilton finally getting past Esteban Ocon. That has been a long time coming, also into the overtaking fest that is turn 14. Hadjar now comes in to the pits to get rid of that rubber. He started on the mediums. Alex Albon has a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. He is staring at 6 Grand Prix in a row without points.
So Hadjar pits, Russell cleared him, but in doing so spent 2 laps going no quicker than Verstappen or Norris out front. So he's on the fresher rubber, would love to try and attempt the undercut, but as yet needs to find a bit of pace to get Red Bull worrying out front for their net race lead. Now he's in clear air. We'll see if he can haul himself up to the back of Piastri. Affairs, isn't it, really? You've got Russell
as a result. And it's lap 21 of 50. Carlos Ferrari of Charles Leclerc right with him now. 0.6 of a second. The gap between the two of them. To the dry. Once again, when it's short corners, low grip and high speed, the Ferrari coming alive. If you have medium speed corners, long corners, that car has struggled this year, but Charles Leclerc is fighting for all he's got. Piastri has been to the pit lane and does come into the pits. Here's the man second in the World Championship battle at the start of today's race.
Yeah, and that last lap, as you've seen there, as Verstappen does the fastest lap, clean stop for Norris dropped quite a bit of time, 0.8 slower on the last lap. So Verstappen winding up, giving it all. Would that suggest he's coming to the pits this lap, or is it just telling us that the fastest car out there, now he's stretching his legs, is the Red Bull?
Well, he's on a one-stopper. They can make it to the end when they fit the hards, which they will surely do. And he Verstappen because he's heading towards the window and wants to make sure he's got enough of a breather to Norris and then Russell as he can. Leclerc's flying. Sainz will surely do likewise. So this could be a race round for both of them.
Big lap for Max Verstappen. He's got the gap out to 4 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. We're on board with Charles Leclerc, the highest driver in the championship not to win a Grand Prix this year, is trying to clear the Williams. And the Williams was sensational yesterday in wet qualifying, dry conditions today. Sainz is coming into the pit lane, late braking move that Charles Leclerc doesn't really need to make because we've got the Williams. Well defended from Sainz. He'll be happy with that stint. He makes it nice and obvious he's coming in. Also coming in, Lando Norris from P2 on the road.
Another nice stop there from McLaren. Consistency, not the fastest, but at this stage you just want clean stops. You're then the opportunity to have a predictable out as he finds himself coming out behind George Russell.
Fresher tyres though for Norris, so Russell with 5 lap older tyres will take those to the end. Norris will have that advantage all the way through. Sainz is trying to cover off Piastri then. This will be very close. Shorter distance for Sainz, but he's got to get the tyres fired up.
Yeah, that's going to be key, especially on a long corner here. And you can see the McLaren all over the back of the Williams with the DRS. Sainz, but he's boxed in, and Piastri's going to get by. Piastri had one opportunity to make that work. He really needed that one, got the move done.
It's mighty important that he clears as many cars as he can, and even though this is a bleak picture for the championship for him, you never know what can happen in Qatar, and he has to maximise his own performance. If that's a P5 today, it's a P5, but that is another good execution then from Piastri and McLaren. Nice pass.